And today on the O&S Podcast, I have my good friend Donald Carlson. He started a company called Tweeds, a mobile custom suit service that comes straight to you. Now, we get into a lot of different things in this discussion. We talk about his business, his lessons that he's learned in his entrepreneurial journey. We talk about family. It's a wonderful conversation. I hope you enjoy it.
How's my hair look?
It looks great, man.
Thanks,
You look really good. Like, as always, you're like a walking billboard for your brand.
Thank you.
But thanks for being on the pod. You were just asking like when we started.
Yeah.
And so we just kicked this thing back up about 6 weeks ago, trying to do once a week.
Nice.
And just explore different topics with people that I find interesting. And, we've done like one on, like I had a PhD in philosophy on, I had
Someone from Sarasota or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a local guy. Did a podcast with a physicist. We talked about like the James Webb telescope pictures and all that kind of stuff, which at the end of that one, it was like 2 hours. It was like 2 hours and my brain was numb.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, and part of the reason I brought you on is
too.
just entrepreneurship, man.
Yeah.
Just getting out there and hustling. You're in the grind, man.
It's a grind for sure.
Yeah.
It's a fun grind though.
So tell people that are listening, what do you do?
Yeah. So I have a company called Tweeds. It's a mobile like custom suit shop. I came from the dry cleaning business, so my dad has always been in the dry cleaning business since like 85. He owned a dry cleaner up in Brooklyn, New York, and then came down to Sarasota in 89. Bought this dry cleaners called 60-Minute Cleaners on Southgate Circle. So like I've always just like grown around like fine clothes.
Right.
And so I worked for my dad from 2012 to 2019. Got a little bit burnt out from that business. It's a tough business, man.
Dry cleaning.
Dry
Yeah.
cleaning,
I can
it's
imagine.
like a lot of labor. It's tough, man.
Well, and I the first time I met you, you were driving around in a van, just picking shirts up for people.
When was it? Did I knock on your door or something? Or what?
No, I think it was just downtown somewhere.
Okay.
When I had my office at was what was back then called the Hub.
Okay.
The co-work space down there.
Classicos?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where we met.
Oh yeah. That's when you also had because I remember we did that video a few years ago.
Yeah.
Right, and that was in the one office, but then you had an office before that in the same, right, in the corner.
Yeah. I moved offices a couple times there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I think that was, but I just remember, here's this young guy coming in, and I remember thinking like he's dressed really, really well for like having to like run around in the hot sun and like picking up clothes and then bringing them to the dry cleaner and all that. But like
for success.
No. And I just immediately when I saw you, I'm like, this kid's a hustler, man.
Yeah.
Like he's just out there grinding. He just work does not scare him at all.
No, man, it's like it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, in the dry cleaning days, all I did was like knock on doors. Like that's how I built that business, and like it definitely taught me like the work ethic and stuff. And plus, like growing around my dad being an entrepreneur, like just kind of had that. Before that, like before the dry cleaning days, I used to be a magician. I don't know if you knew that.
No shit. No, I didn't know
so
that.
for like my whole life, for like 12 years, I did card tricks.
Did you really?
And it was all sleight of hand. So like I never used like things with like trick decks or anything. Just like hand me a deck of cards and I could do whatever you've seen me do.
Okay.
And so like, after high school, I worked at Universal Studios and got fired from that job because I couldn't sell enough. And so anyway, but like, I used to like spend my Friday nights on St. Armand's Circle gathering a crowd of people and then like putting my hat down for tips and doing magic and stuff.
No way.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
No.
My brother-in-law would like help me like kind of gather the crowd and stuff, and it was awesome.
Do you still like practice a little bit?
I don't, man. It's really, I think one day I'll get back into it, but I just love business now, and like that's my new passion.
Yeah. So you were starting to say you got in the dry cleaning business, so you were getting around fine clothes.
Yeah.
So how do you go from that to custom suits?
So, like me and my girlfriend at the time, she's now my fiance, we were on a 10-day road trip, and I saw some guy like at this point, like I was like on my way out of the dry cleaning business. Like I knew it, I didn't want to take it over.
Right.
And I wanted to find the right thing, because like to leave my dad and the family business like was tough, and I need to know like it was the right decision. And so me and my girl were on a 10-day road trip, and I saw some guy kind of like in the custom suiting industry, and I was like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like this is it. And so literally the day we got back, like once I get an idea, like I just get like obsessed with it. And, like I just have to make it happen.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And so like the day I came back from the trip, I literally sold my car, bought the first box truck, built it out, left the dry cleaning business, and just went all in.
So you didn't even like workshop the idea. You were like, this is my idea.
No, yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Like I think, and that's like the idea to make the commitment. I feel like the reason why it all happened was like because I sold my car and bought the truck.
You had no choice.
I had no choice. Yeah. So like if you can like put that like type of thing over you and like make it a commitment, like no turning back. And like I wasn't working for my dad anymore. Like, you know, I gave him 2-month notice. I didn't want to like have that as a, you know, if this doesn't work, like, oh, I can just go back.
Right.
And no, it was like a do or die.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you bought your first box truck.
Yeah.
You did the build out.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do it. I can't do that type of work. But
so you commissioned the build out.
Yeah, I commissioned the build out. Yeah.
So how long from like point of conception to actually up and running into a business?
Like 6 weeks.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really quick.
And so walk me through that process. You know, this part of this podcast is like, I want to interview other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You know, we're in a similar space, you know, like we both sell clothes.
Yeah.
You're doing the custom thing, which is a whole other massive undertaking.
Yeah.
But you know, at least we can sympathize with each other and being in the same,
clothing industry.
Exactly.
Retail,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, this is to help other entrepreneurs, anybody else that has, an idea and they want to go after it. And, you know, those entrepreneurial stories, I think, always help.
Yeah. Well, I think the first step is kind of what I was saying a second ago, which is like making the decision and like doing something that you can't turn back on.
Right.
Because if you don't do that, then you're just probably never going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you like, you know, and everybody's different, but for me, like that was a decision. That was a commitment for me to make it happen. So yeah, I think that's like the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, 6 weeks, what does it look like? What did your marketing, how did you get your name out there? Like,
so, I mean, it was nice because like I was in the dry cleaning business and I built so many great relationships and I always treated everybody with, you know, I went above and beyond for every client. Just back to the dry cleaning thing for a second was like, we started a pickup and delivery service of like, we would go to the client's house, pick up their clothes and then deliver it back. And so there's a lot of communication between my clients and stuff like that. And so I just had lots of good relationships. So I cherry picked off those relationships to build the business. You should definitely use your power base to, you know, get sales and stuff.
Well, it's one of the common threads that I've seen through a lot of interviews with entrepreneurs and just conversations is that there's always this foundation that kind of launches you into your next thing. Right?
Yeah.
So you have this idea while you're in the dry cleaning business and you're like, you know what, I can leverage my contacts to help build my business from the ground up.
Yeah.
So that's super smart, you know?
And it's crazy too, because like never at one point in like the 10 years or so of working with my dad was I like doing this because it would lead me into the next thing or like it just happened to happen. It just happened to be that it worked and kind of came together. But like, you know, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to treat these people right because if I ever move into something else, like I want them to follow me. You're just like, you just did it.
Yeah.
And it just happened to like work into the next thing. And it was just like awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know you, cool. From the minute I met you, you were always like a super kind, super personable person.
Yeah.
And so whenever you start a business, right, and you provide a service and a product, you have to be able to sell.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody lie to you and say, oh yeah, you're not in sales. You are in sales.
Yeah.
You're selling your product.
Yeah.
So step one of being good at sales is you have to be personable. You have to make relationships and contacts and be just kind.
Yeah.
I think overall.
Yeah.
So did you get your first client from your dry cleaning business?
Yeah.
How nerve-wracking was that?
Oh, super nerve-wracking.
Like, because if in 6 weeks, how did you?
I mean, I was up all night practicing measuring.
I was learning
everything I could about suits and the style point. Like, I didn't really need to practice because I always felt like I had a good like sense of style.
Right.
So like I didn't think I had to learn that. Plus, you kind of figure that out. Like each client's looking for something different. Right. So like you kind of listen to the client, you give them what they want, point them in the right direction. But yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking the first appointment for sure. Like I went to So my real first appointment was I parked up the Tweeds truck in front of Kawa Coffee in front of 2nd Street.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know Bobby Reardon.
Name sounds familiar.
Offers.
From Offers?
Yeah.
That name sounds super familiar.
Super awesome guy.
Yeah.
And I had the truck rolled up, and he walked in. He's like, "Hey, I want to support you." And I didn't really know Bobby that well. And he came in, I measured him up, and he bought a jacket. And so that was my real first one.
Right.
But my first scheduled appointment, I went to an office in Lakewood Ranch, and this was a dry cleaning client of mine and a friend, and he's still a customer and a friend. But I went to his office, and I pulled up the Tweeds truck, and I got all his stuff picked out. Like, he wanted a suit and a jacket. And I was like, oh, my God, this is going to be great. Like, I was so pumped. He's like, hold on. And he went back in the office and he grabbed 2 more guys for me that were like,
nice.
That wanted to get some stuff. And then they bought some stuff. And so it was 3 guys. And at that point, when I did my appointments, I would pick the fabrics and do like the designing portion first and do the measuring last.
Okay.
And so then I went to go measure everyone up, and I realized I forgot my tape measure.
Jesus. It's a pretty crucial part.
Yeah, pretty crucial part. And so, I had to go run over to Walgreens and get a tape measure. And thankfully, I wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to come back tomorrow. No, I was like, I'll be back in 10 minutes. Like, I'm going to go find a tape measure.
Right.
Because you didn't want to take the chance of losing the sale.
For sure. No.
But yeah, it was awesome. So now we measure first, and we have our tape measures.
That's good.
Usually I wear a tape measure. I forgot my tape measure today.
Yeah. No, I mean...
It's hilarious, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's part of the process, right? Because you just like jumped in.
Yeah.
For me, I'm much more of like I'm gonna because now you understand because you have a baby, you have a girl, like you have a family that you're responsible for. When I started O&S, I had 2 girls. I had a wife. My oldest is 8, and my youngest is 7.
Okay.
So when I first started, I feel like I had to have. I couldn't just jump all in.
Yeah, 100%.
I had to kind of keep a foundation and then kind of ease into it. And I'm slowly like able to be more and more into the business.
Yeah.
But thankfully I do 2 things that I really love.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that there's like any one way. This was just like kind of what worked for me.
Yeah.
But it took me 6 months to conceptualize the brand, get the systems in place, and then you're still, even with as much planning as you have, you're always going to find something that you forgot or that you
or
misstepped
that you changed down the line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it is funny though. Unfortunately, it was like that first one that you're just like, shit, I forgot that tape measure. That's like, but what is I know there's got to be some logistical nightmares working out of a box truck to do what you do.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's hot.
Well, we live in Florida. For people that don't know.
Yeah, we live in Florida, and it's a box truck, and we didn't insulate the box truck. Like, the AC unit could probably be like double or triple the size.
Right.
But like, those are things you figure out. So like, we just built out a new truck, the first like real build out we did. Mm-hmm. So we have 4 Tweeds trucks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they really just stand as advertising.
Sure.
Right. It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
So we just finished the 4th one, and this is the one I went kind of all in on.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm ready. I want to make it amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, it's completely solar powered. The AC is double the size. There's 2 Murphy beds in it because like we travel. So like when we go down to business conferences, we can just sleep in it if we want to. Mm-hmm. There's an outside shower. There's a toilet. Like, it's all in. Okay. It's awesome. Yeah. So like, and then when clients come in, it's going to feel a lot better because the AC is going to keep it like 70 degrees in there. Mm-hmm. So just like a better experience. So that's one thing learning. We don't want people to come in and be like, hey, do you mind if we go inside? Like, it's kind of hot in here.
Yeah.
Like, we want to give them like that full experience. So like, that's kind of like something we're tweaking now. But also that's why we're like kind of opening a store.
Wait, you're kind of opening a store?
Well, we are opening a store. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
No, and last time we ran into each other, I had saw that on Instagram.
Yeah.
That congratulations,
Thanks, man. Yeah, we're super excited about that. But we just want a place to like set our roots. We got a few guys now.
Right.
We want to have a good working ground. We want to have a place to invite clients to. We want to be able to do host events. We want to have like a nice selection of ready to wear off the rack garments for someone who needs something quickly. And so that's what we're doing now.
Dude, I'm super proud of you, man. That's so you'll still keep the mobile side.
Yeah, so we're still gonna stay a core, like the core of our business is like we make it easy for you to get a custom suit.
Right.
And like, you know, a lot of our clientele, like they're busy businessmen. Like they don't want to spend their time coming to us. So we will always send someone to you, get you measured up, get you looking good, and make it as easy and convenient as possible.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what made you want to open a store in the sense that, you know, your whole thing was I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to drive to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm going to give you a high-end experience in the mobile fashion.
Yeah.
What made you want to put some roots down in that?
So as we build a team, we need a place to like set our roots down.
Okay.
Right now we're working out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
The baby's room is where we steam all of our clothes.
Oh, wow.
We have like a few guys like coming in and out all day.
Right.
So like we just need a place, and we want to have a little bit more credibility. We want to have a store, and again, like, you know, we want to have a nice place to host events.
Yeah.
You know, maybe do cigar nights or like a bourbon tasting, and the store is very much like a lounge area. So like you come in, you can have a drink, enjoy the process of getting measured up, and then sit down with your custom clothier and pick out some garments and you know, elevate your wardrobe a little bit.
That's very cool, man.
Yeah.
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
What has been some of the lessons? How long have you been doing Tweeds now?
3 years.
What have been some of like the major lessons and hurdles that you've kind of had to overcome in the process? I mean, entrepreneurship is no easy road.
Yeah.
And we were kind of commiserating together a little bit before the podcast started, just how difficult, you know, this whole thing is. What are some of the glaring, you know, it could be a major mistake or hurdle or whatever it may be?
I don't know, man. It's like I just kind of take each day by day, and we just try to let people know about Tweeds and try to grow the brand. I mean, one thing I always kind of like to say when I get asked that question is like, you know, when we're selling suits, we kind of always get like the pushback of like, oh, well, no one really wears suits these days, or you know, that type of thing. So I would say my biggest hurdle is creating a cool brand to inspire guys to maybe put on a suit once a week, or when you go out, you know, with your girl on a Friday night, throw on a jacket, and just like take that little bit extra time to look good. And so that's probably the biggest hurdle.
Is just basically like almost reimagining the culture around modern menswear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because you know, if we can inspire people to dress up and to look good, and again, you don't have to do it every day, but why not have a nice jacket to wear on a Friday night?
Sure.
Or why not put on a suit when you have a business meeting or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't think it ever hurts to dress up and to, you know, take a little bit more time in what you wear.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, since I've known you, you've always dressed really well. And that seems to be a thing that, you know, every time I'm around you, I'm like, one of us looks like a clothing designer. Not both
No,
of us.
I mean, and that's the thing though. It's like everyone has a different style. You always look great in like your own way. You have your own style.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what like Oak and Stone is. Like it's a cool, super cool, like casual menswear brand, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, you never know, like there's always like a culture that you need to create with your brand.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, and I think you're doing that really well. I'm striving to do that as well. You know, I don't want to just sell products, right? I want to inspire people. I want to create a culture of hardworking guys that are going after their goals, you know, and that's part of the reason I do this podcast is outside of just loving having conversations with people, like, what can I learn from you?
Yeah.
You know, we're both in similar time spaces of starting our brands. And
when did it start?
So I conceptualized O&S back in 2017.
Is that what you go by? Is it O&S now?
It's just easier because Oak and Stone Clothing Company is a long name. So O&S is just easier.
Yeah, it sounds cool. Yeah, I like it.
Just to say it when I'm referring to it.
Okay.
I conceptualized it in 2017, started working with a mentor.
Okay.
And then went through the process of like, you know, I took 6 months just to develop like what the brand was going to feel like.
Yeah. And what did that look like?
It was a lot of just like exploring other brands, you know, and just drawing inspiration from like, you know, I knew I wanted it to be like, to feel very like manly and stoic, but also have this like sports element to it, and just improvement element to it. And I love nature, so I wanted like the nature side of it as well. So there was like a lot that went into it. Honestly, a lot of like Pinterest, a lot of Instagram, just finding other brands that I like their feel, researching different fonts, right?
Yeah.
Like, and just then going, those are like the nitty gritty details of like what your brand's going to look like.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to dive into like, what was the brand going to feel like?
Yeah.
So I credit those 6 months of just exploring to when we launched, because we launched officially in 2019. January of 2019 was our first active month in business.
That's probably about when we met, maybe? Or
I think so. We met like right as I moved into the hub, started the business.
I remember when I came into the office and I saw the shirts and I was like, man, this is awesome. And I think I bought like a few dress shirts. I was like,
man.
I want to take them, and you were like, no, I want to give you the full experience. And like you boxed it up, you wrote a note, you did like all that, which was super cool.
No, and those are the things that I developed within those 6 months of like, okay, what is the experience going to be like? Because, what I noticed from ordering from other brands is like, okay, the experience was I go on their website, I look at a couple of styles, I put it in my box or in my checkout, and I buy it, and then it ships to me, and the experience is over. Yeah. It comes in like a shipping bag. Yeah. And it's wrapped in plastic. Yeah. There was no like personal touch. Yeah. So I was like, I want the experience not just to be through, like for me, a lot of times my customers come through social media, and cross promotions with other like influencers and stuff like that. So
you do mainly organic, right?
That's pretty much
that's
strictly. Yeah. I mean, cross promotions with other influencers and other brands, but I don't do a lot of like SEO or ad spend or anything like that. It's mainly been more of like the lean startup model of just like slow organic growth over time. Do
you go on a lot of other people's stages?
I try my best to, but a lot of guys in our phase of life don't necessarily have access to like a podcast studio or something like that. So that's where cross promotion, even for us right now, I'm cross promoting with you,
100%.
With your audience, and you're cross promoting with my audience. Yeah. So I think anytime you can get out in front of people, and that's something that you do really, really well, is like you are out there like in front of people. You have a massive black box truck with this, this cool looking logo, Tweeds. You're like, what the hell is that? That looks super cool. So your experience starts there. Yeah. So my experience starts with social media. Yeah. And so people are experiencing the brand through that. They're like, well, what is this? And then they see, somebody that they listen to on a podcast promoting the brand. Yeah.
So I love that whole thing of like, I'm going to sit back after this and like kind of write this down as like, what is the experience?
Right.
Because those are like the things that, I run like on a day-to-day basis where like I don't maybe sit back as much and like think about that type of stuff. Yeah. I think we give a great experience. I think we give a great product, but like sitting back and like writing that down, right, that's super cool.
Well, and so that's a lot of, that was like the planning before I started. Yeah. And so going from the experience of seeing the content we put out, the films that we've put out, the podcasts we put out, all of those things are different touch points into the brand and the culture of what O&S is. And then you go to the website and you're like, oh, this website looks good. I like that style. I'm gonna try that. Yeah. I knew like from that moment, I didn't want the experience to end there. So that's why I was like, I'm going to be particular about like actually shipping in a really nice box. Yeah. Gonna take the clothes out of the wrapper, put it in tissue paper, write a custom note for each individual person. And
you still do that?
Every single one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I knew like, this is how you develop customer loyalty. When you go above and beyond what people are expecting, you are bound to have repeat customers. Yeah. And the thing that I love is the feedback that I get from people. And that's usually very positive. Yeah. There's always the people that will try to like badmouth your brand or whatever. The haters will always be out there. Yeah. But for the vast majority, for 99% of people, the experience when they get the box, they open it because they weren't expecting it to come in that. They get the box, they get the note, they see the clothing that's high quality because our price point is a little higher.
Yeah.
You understand that you're in the higher price point space as well. But all of that was planned before I started.
Yeah.
All of that I knew, like the customer experience is going to be all the way through to when they put the clothing on, and they have little messages within the box, and my hope is when they put that clothing on that they feel better.
Yeah, they feel better. Yeah.
They feel more confident, and that's a common thread that I see time and time again, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
Like a custom suit, you look like a badass.
Yeah.
Like it's tailored for you.
Yeah.
You look great.
Yeah. You find more value in it because like you went through the process.
Yeah.
You took the time, you got measured up, you picked it all out.
Right.
Then you put it on and you're like, all right, cool. This is nice.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. It's such a cool experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all part of the planning process of the creating of the culture, of the brand and how it was going to feel. So 3 years in, you got 4 box trucks. You're about to open a store. Do you have? What I was going to actually go back to what you were saying before. It's really hard to fly at a higher level as far as like, thinking about things like what is the brand going to look like when you're in the trenches.
Yeah.
That's why the generals make the decision in the military, not the guys on the ground.
Right.
Because you need to be able to see the whole thing, the whole picture,
Yeah.
so that way you can make the strategic play.
Yeah.
So, but when you're in it and when you're fighting, that's what we both are. We're both in it and we're fighting. So I have to like intentionally pull myself out and say like, okay, what is a year from now look like?
Right.
What is 2 years, 5 years? And these are just ambiguous goals.
Yeah.
Like life has a way of throwing a wrench into your plans.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough too. Cause it's like, your business kind of thrives off of like selling,
Right.
like bringing, and with our business, like we're not bringing in money unless we're out selling and, at an appointment.
Right.
So it's tough, which is why I'm bringing on guys right now, because a lot of my time is out on appointments, giving the experience, measuring them up. And that's the only time the business really brings in income. Right. Yeah. So now, we've got 2 guys. We're trying to kind of take that relief off of me because we don't want the business to be relying on me. And so that I'll be able to take a step back, put into better processes,
Right.
Make a better experience, sit down and ask myself, what do I want the experience to look like?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also what you said too a second ago with, if you can go above and beyond, like you're bound to get repeat clients.
Yeah.
Super smart.
Right.
Like we want to give the best experience.
Yeah. I think, people will, there's a rule called reciprocity. Like the reciprocity principle is when people feel like you've given them something more than what they asked for or expected, they want to reciprocate. It's psychology 101. The reciprocity rule is really, really important.
I've never even heard of that.
So there's a great book. It's called Influence.
Okay.
Robert Cialdini is the author. And
is
that's
it a new book or older book or what?
It's a little bit older, yeah.
Okay.
But it is fantastic. It's one of my like top 5 that I recommend to every entrepreneur, especially in the sales space. Is you need to learn how to influence people. Because that a lot of times that doesn't just happen. There are certain principles and rules, and that's one of them is the rule of reciprocity. Like I'm going to give you something above and beyond. That's part of the reason why we do these podcasts and do the film shoots is because I want people to feel like they're getting something out of the brand and they're buying into the brand because we're not just like, hey, buy my shit.
Yeah.
That's not that, because that works up until a certain point, but you're not bringing any like brand loyalty.
Right.
So if they feel like I'm getting above and beyond experience, it only helps you. It only helps you to like develop that loyalty in your customer base.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, that's a great book. You should definitely
Influence. What was it?
Robert Cialdini.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that reciprocity.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Reciprocity.
You did great.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got 3 things out of this podcast. keep coming.
I'll try my best, man. So what if you did like what is like the bigger picture for Tweeds? Like where do you see yourself going?
I mean, the picture of Tweeds is like, how do we funnel in a lead, right? qualify the lead, get them in an appointment, send a guy to the person, create the sale, and then keep doing that.
Right.
And create a great experience.
Right.
And that's basically it.
But what I mean by that question is like, where's a point that you see in the future that you're like, this is what I expected and wanted from Tweeds?
I don't know. I already get what I want out of Tweeds because like every day I like have like a mission.
Yeah.
And so like I'm happy like with where it's at. I mean, like, does that answer the question? Like, I don't know.
No,
like,
absolutely.
I don't really have like a goal like, oh, once I get to this point, I'm happy or I got what I wanted out of it.
Yeah, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. So like happiness isn't a destination.
Right.
It's a life that you live, right? I choose to be happy. I choose to be grateful for the things that I have in my life. And that's, even with O&S, like I have a larger picture of where I want this brand to go.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm holding off my happiness until that happens.
So give me your larger picture.
So basically with O&S, obviously like just brand growth in general. I want everybody in this country to know this brand. Okay. And I want to expand obviously outside of just menswear into women's wear. I think that there's a couple of holes in the market that we can fill. But again, back to my lean startup principles is the only reason I made it through COVID was because of the principles that I put in place with Lean Startup. And that is, I'm not going to over leverage myself so that way I can't weather storms. And I think that is a major principle because I was a year in business and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
If I had over leveraged myself financially and had whatever you want to call it, too much inventory, too much just fluff within the business, the brand wouldn't have. And I'm sure you struggled through COVID as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if nobody's going in the office, nobody's going out to restaurants or parties or whatever.
Yeah, and especially buying expensive luxury goods like that.
Exactly. That was like the first thing people cut out.
Yeah, 100%.
So tell me about your experience there. Like,
I mean, during COVID, like, I don't know if you remember, but we were doing that face mask thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And so like COVID was, so like we had access to face masks and like, so we kicked up this website called Fast Ship Face Mask, and for like 9 months straight, like we just kind of took that weird, I don't want to say opportunity, but like that weird thing of like selling face masks, and that kept us busy for 9 months. Like Tweeds was like, like I don't want to say like off to the side, but there was an opportunity to sell face masks, and we created an e-commerce website, and so that kept us busy for 9 months straight.
Right.
And so like, that was like my main focus for 9 months.
Well, you saw a need and you filled it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you had to pivot in that moment because, like you said, nobody was buying luxury goods like that.
Yeah.
And I saw that same experience. Like I created masks too. Like there was nobody was buying shirts to go out. These are nicer, higher end shirts, and I was like, well, here's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's make some masks, and my biggest thing was I just saw like a couple of issues that I didn't like about the face mask, and if you had to wear it, I kind of wanted to fix some of those issues. So so I did that and created a mask, and it sold really great, and it got us through.
Yeah. And I kind of want to go back, like I'm not like one of those guys that like, or like I think you should go all in on one thing. And so like with the dry cleaning business, I went all in on the dry cleaning business. I wasn't like, maybe I should do like an MLM thing or, try to sell something else on the side. Like, I think if you go all in on one thing, you can do really, really well.
Yeah.
But in this case, I had to kind of put Tweeds off to the side for a little bit because there was such a big opportunity and we did really well during it. But then immediately when that was over, it was like right back to Tweeds because that's what I love.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely times in this experience that you just kind of have to eat shit and do things you don't want to necessarily do, but it's going to contribute to your larger goal, right? But going back to the larger goal for O&S, kind of where I see this company going, I basically have a valuation number that I want to grow the company to.
Cool.
We can talk about that afterwards, but I have a valuation number that I could see that once this company reaches this valuation, I will feel like I have reached my goal.
Yeah.
And it's it's hard to put a time frame on these things because life happens.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I feel like COVID pushed us back 2 years, but you just keep going. Like passion is what's going to drive you, right? To keep going with these things. You're obviously very passionate about Tweeds, and I'm very passionate about what I do. Like, I love this thing. And the best part about this whole experience for me, has been the people that I got to meet.
Yeah.
You know, like the connections and the friends that are, I mean, some of my best friends coming up to me and talking to me about the brand.
Yeah.
And now those guys are brothers to me.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing I didn't know about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Is that there's a lot of people that you get to meet, and it's like really, really cool. Like the connections, like when I get emails from customers or Instagram messages from customers about like, oh, I love your brand, you know, I can't wait to try it out. And then, you know, they follow up a couple weeks later, like, got my shirt, like, I absolutely love it. Like,
thanks for the handwritten note.
You know, but there's something really cool about that. And I'm sure you get that experience as well. Like, you know, when that person that they've been waiting for their suit to come in, you put it on them and they just probably feel like $1 million.
Oh,
and, you know, there's something so satisfying about creating something from nothing. And then when you have a lot of pride behind it, and people see it, you know, you're a father now, you know, you have so much pride in your baby, right? Like it's something that you help create, you know? So, but when other people come in and are like, oh, that's a cute baby. Doesn't it make you feel like amazing?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, so it's just like, that's a very similar feeling to when you create something that people just absolutely love.
Yeah. And like back to that, the whole point is like, I remember like, you know, you talk to parents, like this is before we had kids, and like every parent would be like, oh, you know, I have the cutest baby.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, and now I have my baby. I'm like, no, we have the cutest baby.
We're all biased towards that, man.
It's so funny, man.
That's
it's
good,
such
though.
a weird thing, isn't it? I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah. No, one of the things my girls tell me every night, they're like, you're the best daddy in the world. Every night. And then I tell them, you know, you girls are the best daughters a dad could ask for. You know, and I truly believe that. I feel like I got the best kids, but I'm sure you feel that way too. But there is a lot of pride in it, right? And I think with our brands, you know, as much as as many mistakes as we I mean, I know I'll speak for myself. I've made a shit ton of mistakes. And I will continue to make mistakes because that's just part of the process. But you grow, you learn, you keep your head up, keep going.
Them.
Yep, you just fix them as you go.
Put in new processes, see what works, what doesn't work, and then you just keep on going.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, now that you've just thought about it, like what's a major milestone that you could see yourself kind of making?
Man, I don't know.
Think about it. Think about it. What comes off, like what's the first thing that comes to your head?
I guess I don't know if I'm trying to get to 10 guys.
There you go.
So 10 sales guys is what
there
I'm
you
trying
go.
to get to. So I guess that would be the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as far as like, and I'm sure you're like looking at the numbers and quantifying, you know, what each salesperson comes in, you know, what they should bring in, you know, what kind of income one salesman generates for the business. So 10 is your like, that's my immediate goal for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, super. I mean, we should be there real quick.
That's awesome.
Because now we're kind of moving at like attack speed, way quicker than we were. Like now we're just going real quick.
Yeah.
So hopefully within the next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We're quicker.
What has been the like the biggest hurdle with now that you're a dad and you've got a family? What is that work-life balance been like?
It's tough, man, because I think about work a lot. Yeah. And like, you know, it's hard to turn it off. But like I try to turn it off, and like that's definitely a tough thing for sure. Because I want to like turn it off and like just be present. That's something I'm trying to work on. Yeah,
it is. It's hard. It's a problem that you're trying to fix 24/7.
Yeah,
you're constantly thinking about it.
Yeah,
like this is something that I want to.
And now like having the baby, it just even is worse because it's like you want to be there for him and that type of thing. But like, yeah, definitely work-life balance.
It's just struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a struggle for sure.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like...
But I also don't want to think like it's a bad thing either, because like I think work is a great gift.
Sure.
Like, you know, because it gives you a mission, it gives you something to work for, gives you an accomplishment. Like I think there's a lot of pluses there too.
Yeah. Well, something that just works really well for me, is that I set out when I first started, even not just in like clothing and entrepreneurship, but also with my family, is like, and that's where mentorship was so priceless for me. Is I have a mentor that I work with still, and
Same guy. Cool.
And one of the big things that he told me that I'll always remember is that he divorced his wife when he was in the middle of building his wife left him, and part of the reason he attributes to just working so much. And he was never home. He was always away. And he told me, he's like, I would trade the empire to have my family back. And that is just something that stuck with me, because the number one most important thing for me is my family. And I'll do anything for them, including sacrifice whatever I need to sacrifice for them. And those problems will always be there. Right. So that is compartmentalizing doesn't always come easy to me. But compartmentalizing, like, okay, I'm going to leave this fire burning tonight because I'm going to go spend time with my family. I'm going to go have dinner with them. I'm going to play with my daughters, because that fire will still be burning in the morning. It's not going anywhere. The problem's not going anywhere. So I can either prioritize them or come back to this problem in the morning. And sometimes, a lot of times, I'm happy, because when I come back to that problem in the morning, I have fresh eyes. I have a fresh, I just slept, and then, here's an easier way. Here's a better way to fix this problem. But it is hard, man, because it's constantly there. So like compartmentalization has been like a really big.
Can you completely get out of thinking about business?
No.
Okay.
No, but
I mean, even when you're like with the kids and stuff.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
But there are things that I can. Have you ever, what mindfulness is?
Yeah, being mindful.
Yeah. So like being present in the moment.
Yeah.
And not like thinking about the problem. And I do my best to practice mindfulness and being in that moment. Like my girls are and you'll experience this soon. Like they are in such a sweet spot once they like start talking and playing and develop a personality. Like there's so much fun that happens, and like it's such a short window.
Yeah.
You've heard the term, the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
Especially when they're young, little babies, and they're not sleeping all night and all that kind of stuff. Like those are very long days, but I cannot believe my oldest is already 8.
That's crazy.
So it's like those years go by fast.
Yeah.
Business will always be there.
Yeah.
But you're going to be a dad to this kid for only so long in that time.
Yeah.
So what are the things that I'm going to prioritize? And it is hard to compartmentalize and to be mindful and be present and be in the moment, because when you've worked all day and you're exhausted, I'm sure, at the end of the night, and your kid comes up and is like, Daddy, you want to play? And all you want to do is just like lay down on the couch and like not do anything.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of intentionality to just be like, let's do it, kid.
Yeah.
Let's go play.
Yeah.
Because damn it, they're not going to ask to do that forever.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I try to remember as well. My wife's a business owner, so she gets it as well. She owns her own counseling practice.
Okay.
And so she sees clients all day, and then she wants to just lay on the couch and veg out too. But we just try to practice that.
Yeah.
Very much so. But it is difficult.
Yeah.
So I feel your pain on it.
Yeah.
And it's a big adjustment. You're a new dad.
I think it'll get better over time too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
The intentionality of like, I want to be a present dad.
Yeah.
Things don't just happen, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to become a better dad by accident.
Yeah.
You have to intentionally be, just like within business, you're not going to be a better business guy by accident.
Right.
Like the business isn't going to just work without you being intentional about it.
Right.
So it's the same thing in life. You want to be a better dad, you got to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
And there are days that I feel like, I fucking crushed it as a dad.
Yeah.
And then there are days I'm like, I didn't do very good. So it's a balance, but it's fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for the journey, and it's already crazy like how much like he's getting a little personality and stuff at 10 months old, and like he's starting to walk a little bit and stuff, and at night like he just like he's got so much energy, dude. It's like he's jumping all over me. Like last night he was literally like wide awake till like midnight, like just would not sleep. It was like,
oh jeez.
Yeah.
How old is he?
10 months.
10 months.
He doesn't sleep much.
Yeah.
We haven't got him on a good sleep schedule yet.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still like, it's like, last night was good. It was like, I felt like I was like, all right, just like played with him and stuff. But yeah.
It's all about like, you're not going to win every day.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel good about being a dad every day.
Yeah.
You know, just as far as like, oh, I was a really good dad today.
Yeah.
Or I was a shitty dad today.
Yeah.
But as long as you're a better dad, you know, as long as you're a good dad for majority of it, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
So last question, and then, because I know you're a busy guy, I know you got to get out of here. But as far as entrepreneurship,
This is going to be a tough question.
I hope not.
All right.
No, I don't want it to make it up. I don't want it to make it
No,
hard.
I'm just kidding.
What is, if you were to meet Donald,
Yeah.
okay, from before you met Tweeds,
Yeah.
okay, or before you started Tweeds,
Yeah.
so 3-5 years ago, or you know, wherever, what is the wisdom you would impart on younger Donald? Say, hey kid, you know, these are the lessons that I've learned. Don't do this. What would be like the biggest number one thing that you would do? You would say?
Man, that is a tough question.
It's all right.
It's a tough question.
Take your time.
I don't know. I guess it would be kind of what we were just saying a minute ago about like trying to be more present and stuff like that. Just like, I don't want to say this like only 5 years into it, but, or like, you know, 5 years ago, but it's like maybe just try to enjoy a little bit more of like personal life and like that type of stuff. And like, you know, that would probably be it.
Okay.
I feel like that would probably be the answer for a lot of people who like are
Yeah.
really hardcore into business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I discussed this on a podcast not too long ago, but you know, when you're on your deathbed,
Yeah.
and you're not going to be thinking about, I should have spent more time at work. Oh, I should have built Tweeds bigger.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
going to be like, I should have spent more time with my kids.
Yeah.
Or I should have spent more time with my wife. Like, those are the things that are going to matter the most at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because again, I trade the empire to have my family back. You don't want to have that regret.
No, for
in your
sure.
life.
No.
But I think that's good, man.
Yeah.
That's really good. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you being honest and
Yeah.
coming on and,
Yeah.
and telling funny stories. And it's been great. It's been great to have you on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.